How do you know when you need a physical intervention for your inflammation? Well, imagine your shoulders finally dropping, your jaw unclenching, and your breath deepening. Not because you forced it, but because your nervous system finally got the message. You're safe now. I'm Nancy Ma, physical therapist and Autoimmune Freedom Coach. And if you've been living with chronic tension, pain, or inflammation that just won't go away no matter what you try, it's because your body is still stuck in survival mode. It's protecting you from a threat that is no longer there. So today, I'm going to show you how acupressure does something most treatments can't. It sends a direct physical signal to your nervous system that helps switch it from defense into healing. And once that switch flips, everything changes. Let's start with why physical intervention works when mental or emotional work doesn't. You've probably tried therapy, meditation, breath work, and maybe even trauma work. And while those are powerful tools, here's what they can't do. They can't directly interrupt the physical loop your nervous system is stuck in. Your nervous system doesn't just live in your brain, it lives in your tissues, your fascia, your muscles. And when you experience chronic stress or trauma, your body creates protection patterns physically. Your shoulders hike up, your jaw clenches, your breath becomes shallow. These aren't just symptoms in your mind, they're physical symptoms and signals that are keeping you in survival mode. So talk therapy works through thought therapy and thought processing, and breath work works through the respiratory system, but acupressure works through physical input, applying pressure at specific points where the nervous system is most accessible. These points have been used for thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine because they reliably influence pain, tension, and organ function. Your nervous system has been playing the same song on repeat for years, and that's what leads to physical and nerve tension. Meditation helps you notice the song, and therapy might help you understand why it's playing, but acupressure actually helps to change the channel. That's why women who've done years of emotional work finally feel their body let go. Not because they tried harder, but because their body finally received a clear signal of safety. So let's get into how acupressure calms the nervous system. So here's what's actually happening when you use acupressure. When you apply steady pressure to a specific point on your hands, your head, your feet, or your legs, your nervous system registers it as a controlled sensory input. It's not invasive, it's not harmful, and it's usually not painful, but it is enough to get your nervous system's attention. And at first, there may be awareness or sensitivity that there's something else going on in your body that you may want to draw your attention to. That's your nervous system checking in. Your nervous system's job is to always scan for safety. And when it checks in, because the pressure is steady, intentional, and safe, your body shifts out of alert mode. So therefore, your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your healing, rest, and digest system, is able to turn on. Your breath slows, your heart rate drops, and muscle tone softens. Your vagus nerve gets activated. And this is why people often feel calm, heavy, warm, or even sleepy. So Chinese medicine describes this as restoring vital life force, or qi, flow through blocked pathways. Modern physiology describes it as down-regulating a chronically activated stress response. So different language, but same outcome. And this is why acupressure works so well for chronic pain, inflammation, and autoimmune conditions, because those conditions are deeply tied to a nervous system that never fully shuts off. And acupressure is great because you don't have to depend on going to see an acupuncturist all the time. What I'm about to show you, you can do in the comfort of your home and feel like you're the one who is applying the relief. Let's pause for a minute. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, I've tried so many things, how do I know if acupressure is right for me? Or if you're realizing your nervous system has been stuck in survival mode and you're not sure where to start, I'd like to invite you to book a free energy activation call. So this call is a holistic strategic session where we look at what your body's been holding on to mentally, physically, and emotionally. And you'll understand why your current approach might not be working and what your nervous system actually needs to feel safe enough to heal. So even if you've tried acupuncture or acupressure, there's a reason why it might not be working. And that's what we'll understand by the end of our call. You'll have clarity on whether nervous system work or another approach is the next right step for your healing journey. So you can book your free energy activation call with our team on the link below. So there's a difference between single point acupressure versus an acupressure mat. So this part matters more than most people realize. Not all acupressure sends the same signal. They work differently through different mechanisms. Single point acupressure is precise. You're giving your nervous system one clear message at a time. It says, you're safe here. You can soften here. And this is especially powerful for sensitive nervous systems, trauma histories, chronic pain, and autoimmune conditions. Depending on what the challenge you're working through, you may want to stimulate specific pressure points depending on your goals. Now, acupressure mats work very differently. They actually more work like cold therapy. They create a short, controlled, hormetic stress response, meaning it's uncomfortable, but it's still not dangerous. It's just a more of a wider range and bigger location in which it works. So if you were to lie on a mat or step on an acupressure mat, your nervous system may react quite strongly. And that doesn't mean harm, it just means there's a lot of sensation. So over time, just like with cold exposure, your nervous system learns something important. I can feel discomfort and still feel safe. That learning builds resilience. And you can learn more about cold therapy or hydrotherapy in the other video that I've just posted below as well in the link. So here's the key. If your nervous system is already overwhelmed, a mat can be too much input at once. So instead of calming you, it can keep you stuck in fight or flight. So if you've ever used a mat and felt wired, anxious, or overstimulated after, that's not failure, that's just feedback. This is the same principle I explain in my contrast therapy video, which is the difference between stress that builds capacity versus stress that overwhelms the system. And this is why I always start with single point acupressure first. So let's do it together. So with acupressure, you can do it anywhere. You don't need any tools, just your hands. But if you'd like to use a tool, I like to use a spoon or sometimes even a pencil. So we're going to start with this point here. It's in your web space between your thumb and your index finger. It's this point here. You can squeeze here, or you can take the back of a spoon or a pencil with a rubber eraser, something that's not too sharp. And I like to use the spoon over pinching it because it's less work. And then you just put some pressure, and you get to decide how much pressure you could put. So you don't need to press hard, just enough to feel presence. So when you're doing this, take a few deep breaths, let your jaw soften, slow your breath, and stay here for about 20 to 30 seconds. This is a very powerful point because this is the point in our body that's called LI4, large intestine 4, according to the meridians. Meridians are what traditional Chinese medicine practitioners use to determine the flows of healing. Think of meridians like rivers. And if you have a blockage, like a dam, we want to free up the dam so that the river can flow smoothly. And this point is where all the nerves of our upper body, from our head, neck, shoulders, and arms, converge at this one point, the LI4 point. And this is why this point is extremely powerful. So point number 2 is called GV24.5. That's this point right here between the eyebrows. Now, I don't recommend using a spoon here. So you can either do this or pinch here. No pressure, just contact. This point is deeply calming for your nervous system. You can let your breath slow down and again, stay here for 20 to 30 seconds. Now, this point is powerful because we tend to be very heady and think a lot and be really focused. And this is just a different input to say, hey, you don't have to frown. You don't have to be worried. You can just relax. And that's the purpose of that point. Now, the last point I'm going to go over with you is this point here at the top of your head called GB20. So this is the top of your head. It's where both the halves of your skull meet. Now for me, I have a pretty defined line and almost a dimple right at the top of my head. Not everybody has this dimple, but if you can locate it, it's really at the top of your crown. So you can put your index finger right here, and again, just imagine your spine gently lengthening beneath your hand. This helps your nervous system orient out of threat, so you can breathe and let your jaw relax here and stay here for about 20 or 30 seconds. So that's it, just 3 points, 1 minute or 1 minute and a half total. It's a clear signal of safety. Now, I do have my acupressure mat available. Now, you might not have this, but I just wanted to show you really quickly how this works. So with this mat, you can step on it, which I highly recommend you don't do to start off. You start off with just putting maybe a finger, maybe more, and just getting a feel for it. And then you just hold it for about 20 seconds. And that feels pretty good. You feel, oh, I feel a sensation in my hands. Now you get to decide how much more pressure you put on it and what body parts might need some TLC. Maybe it's your shoulder. So again, with the mat, you might not want to put all your body weight on it because it can be pretty stimulating. So when trying something new, always take your time, go slowly, and there's no rush to get any end result. So just remember with the acupressure mat, it's not necessarily about relaxation. It's about teaching your nervous system that sensation, even strong sensation, doesn't equal harm or danger. And if it ever feels like too much for your nervous system, that's okay. You just start with the single point acupressure points that we talked about earlier, because safety always comes before intensity. The final thing I'd like to share is immediate relief versus rewiring your baseline. So one acupressure session can give you some immediate relief. That softening, that exhale, and that feeling of I can finally breathe. But obviously one session doesn't rewire a nervous system that's been stuck in survival mode for years. Your baseline nervous system state has been shaped by chronic stress, unresolved trauma, and years of pushing through when your body needed rest. That's what's called your allostatic load. And if it doesn't shift overnight, that's totally normal and understandable. This is why consistency matters. The first session introduces safety, the second time reinforces it, and over a period of a week or a month, over time, your body starts to trust calm as the new normal. That's when the inflammation truly eases. That's when your autoimmune flares become less frequent, and that's when you've become more connected to your body. Pain that's been there for years can start to fade. Your body finally has energy again, because it's no longer spending it all on protection. And this is why a physical interruption or a physical intervention for your nervous system is absolutely necessary in your healing journey. So remember, healing doesn't happen because you force your body to relax. It happens because your body finally believes it's safe. So acupressure isn't about fixing you. It's about reminding your nervous system of something it forgot a long time ago. And if you're watching this and you have chronic inflammation or autoimmune conditions, there's a high chance that your mind got disconnected from your body somewhere along the way. I did create a video called 5 Signs of Dissociation in Women. You might want to check that out because it definitely talks about why we start to manifest some of these symptoms in our body. Your body does not need to fight all the time. It doesn't need to stay on guard. And when that belief finally settles in, everything else follows. And if this video helped you to realize that you've been disconnected from your body and it resonated with you, I'd love to invite you to please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. I read every comment and I would love to share feedback or cheer you along on your healing journey. And these comments mean so much to me because they help me create more content that will help more women like you. So thank you so much. I appreciate you and I'll see you in the next video.